Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lucha Rewatch Season 3. This is episode 6, and we are covering Lucha Underground Season 3, episodes 11 and 12. John, we got to watch Aztec Warfare 3, and we got to witness what was originally your markout of a lifetime, Johnny Mundo winning the Lucha Underground title from Sexy Star. How great were these two episodes?
Oh, dude, they were fantastic. This is one Lucha rewatch where I'm really going to be incredibly biased because in watching these, particularly the Aztec Warfare episode, believe it or not, you'd think that it would be the episode where he won the freaking world title. But especially Aztec Warfare really illuminated to me that this season, more or less, was all about Johnny Mundo on some level. Because it starts with his quest for the world title, which, sees him making a pit stop and winning the Gift of the Gods and all that stuff. But then you see in Aztec Warfare that he starts the match at number 2, and he makes it all the way to the Final Four. So even though he wasn't necessarily a part of the whole match, he was a part of like 95% of it, I would say. And it's just really insane that these two episodes, to me, kind of serve as a microcosm for what the season as a whole served to be about. And even though there were many interesting characters and stuff, do not get me wrong, I just think Mundo was a driving force of this season, and these two episodes really illustrate that above all others, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely, man. Lucha Underground Season 3 was the season of Johnny Mundo. Even though there was a lot of other stuff going on, and the thing is, really, if you think about it, it always came back not just to Mundo, which I would say primarily Mundo, but also to Prince Puma, who ended up being his Ultima Lucha opponent at the end of the season.
Exactly. It's just really funny how that all worked out. So when you look at the long-form narrative at play here in Season 3, you see that once again, it's just Lucha Underground doing masterful work. So, dude, I don't want to make any more haste. Let's get right into these episodes because we know the first one's going to be pretty easy to get through. It was one match for one show in Aztec Warfare, so...
Yeah, it was. It was only one match for the entire show, but there was a lot going on in that match. And before we even got to the match, we got a backstage cinematic where Johnny Mundo confronts Dario Cueto in the hall to tell him that he's going to be the first person ever to hold the Gift of the Gods and the Lucha Underground titles at the same time. And he also informs Cueto that if he would somehow manage to not win Aztec Warfare 3, he is going to cash in his Gift of the Gods title for a title match next week. So he's basically hedging his bets at this point. And he also kind of shows off, oh yeah, I'm going to enter Aztec Warfare 3 at number 12. And then Cueto's like, oh, you're awfully arrogant, you're awfully cocky. And then he grabs the entry number paper and he rips it in half and he says, I guess now you're going to enter at number 2. And Tayo is filming this whole thing.
I love this. And again, it just shows that this season really had the emphasis on Mundo. I'm still very intrigued about the possibility of somebody holding the world title and the Gift of the Gods at the same time. I bet you there will be one season where somebody does that. I would not put that past Lucha Underground.
Really, the only possible way to do that would be to hold Gift of the Gods in Aztec Warfare, where Aztec Warfare is for the title, and win Aztec Warfare. So this, this is a very, very specific scenario that I don't know if it'll come back or show up in a future season. And if it does, the odds of that person winning Aztec Warfare are just astronomically low.
I just want to see Lucha Underground last long enough where we see all these possibilities unfold. Because remember, we still haven't even seen a champion retain in Aztec Warfare.
Yeah.
So there's a lot we haven't seen yet in the Luchaverse as far as match results go. But yeah,
to be fair, the first Aztec Warfare, there was no possibility of retention because, there was no title prior to that. That was what crowned the first champion. And then Aztec Warfare 2, Mill entered hoping to retain. Or no, actually, Aztec Warfare 2, Phoenix entered hoping to retain. I forgot that that's who was champion. And he got eliminated by Matanza. And now in this one, obviously, Matanza entered as champion, and he got eliminated by Ray. So, yeah. The really cool thing psychologically about that, though, is that they're really maintaining the idea that if you walk into Aztec Warfare defending your championship as champion, the biggest target possible is on your back.
Absolutely, which to me will make it so cool whenever a champion does step up to retain, because they will be the biggest fucking deal after that. That's going to be all the credibility they'll need in my mind. But that'll be in the future. In the present, I love the dynamic here between Mundo and Cueto. It's always great to see those two interact. It's always a fun, worthwhile interaction to see unfold. I love that Cueto shoves it back in Mundo's face by turning his number 12 into number 2. And I also love to kind of jump the gun a little bit that Sexy Star ends up getting that number 12 and going on to win the match. So, like, even the ways they keep connecting it back to Sexy and Mundo, between Gift of the Gods and then Aztec Warfare and then the world title match. Just a great feud from a narrative perspective, with moments like this.
Well, yeah, because you really do kind of have to wonder. And even though obviously the writers could have written it to be any way they wanted, and maybe the writers always wanted Mundo to go number 2, and they just kind of wanted to figure out a creative way to get him there. If you think about it from a kayfabe perspective, the possibilities that open up if Johnny doesn't get all arrogant in Cueto's face and have to come out at number 2 instead of 12, it really does open up the world of possibility. Because if you think about it, if Sexy Star isn't number 12, she probably doesn't last until the very end, because Mundo was number 2, just like Sexy would have been, and he didn't last until the end. And so if Sexy doesn't last until the end, then she is not Mill's final opponent, which means that Mill probably wouldn't underestimate his final opponent. So then you have to wonder, would Mill have walked out of this as the world champion, or would it have been whoever lasted until the end, which could have possibly been Mundo?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many questions about when you do little things like this, which is why I adore Lucha Underground so much.
One of the many reasons, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I love, because this goes all the way back to season 1, the animosity between Mundo and Cueto. It's like an oscillation between animosity and professionalism, because there are times, that Cueto and Mundo don't like each other, like when he punched Cueto in the face when he was still a Técnico. There are times that they seem to get along well, like Cueto loved when Mundo originally turned heel, if you remember. And he said, no, I love this new Johnny Mundo. I want to see more of it. And that's when we got the very first All Night Long between Mundo and Puma. So I really love the relationship between these two. And this is just another case where not only am I making you number 2, which is bad in and of itself because now you got to last the whole thing, but let's remember who's number 1. My brother Matanza. So it works on so many layers. And I love when he says, I don't think you're going to be fighting for the Lucha Underground Championship next week. I think all you're going to be fighting for is your life. And, just kind of leaves him with that. And then Mundo's like, turn the camera off, turn the camera off. So yeah, this is a great cinematic, a great tone setter before Aztec Warfare. And that's all I've got to say about it before we get into the actual match.
All right, well, then let's get right into Aztec Warfare 3. I mean, the cool thing about the way they set this up is that we've got like these great Aztec themed like Hawaiian dancers doing ritualistic dances on the outside of the ring, and then you see it, Matanza and Dario Cueto in the ring, and it's on.
Yeah, it's so good. And I love that Mundo, he comes out, Gift of the Gods title, but he gets a chance to compete here, and he's trying to be evasive to Matanza and really avoid as much as he can. Of course, Matanza does end up like really brutalizing Mundo. The capture suplex he does to him at one point was sick. I thought Mundo sold that perfectly. Matanza's a beast, in terms of execution. So that was great. Then you have Son of Havoc come out. That picks up the pace a little bit. I mean, so I guess rather than going by like who came out, like how do you want to break this down? Because I do have here something that gives like the order of who came out and the order in which they were eliminated. Or do you just want to talk about moments that you love from the match? Because
I do have like a couple dozen lines of notes for this match, and I did keep track of who came out when, and I think I kept track of everyone that got eliminated. But yeah, I kind of took notes as just like, writing my thoughts down as the match went on. So I really didn't have anything from 1 to 4 because it was Matanza, Mundo, Havoc, Crane. But then when Jeremiah came in, that was when I started to kind of have things that I really felt like I had to say, talking about how he came in and he was kicking everyone. And I liked that he got like a little synchronized attack going on with Mundo and Havoc to get Matanza out of the ring. But then, of course, as soon as they get Matanza out of there, he resumes kicking everyone in the face.
Yeah, that was great. I just loved it. I love the chaos. I love the concerted effort to try and take Matanza down. And can I say, too, even though Matanza much later in the match was eliminated by Ray, he was still so dominant here. Like, what did he get? Like another 5 or 6 eliminations in this Aztec Warfare? So, like, cumulatively, All those
I
eliminations.
think he ended up with 6, didn't he? Didn't we talk about that like when we first watched this?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was like
Because I
6.
think he had 11 in the first one.
Yeah, dude. Cumulatively between Aztec Warfare 2 and now Aztec Warfare 3, so many eliminations. It just unfathomable to think about. Just all that dominance at work.
I mean, let's see. He eliminated Jeremiah. He eliminated Mariposa.
Eliminated Masquerita.
Right. Yeah. With the double spin, Wrath of the Gods. He eliminated
Dr. Wagner Jr.
Yep, Dr. Wagner Jr. So that's 4. Did he eliminate Mill?
He eliminated Drago.
Or no, obviously Mill lasted it to the end. Yeah, Matanza. He got Drago with that moonsault slam. And then, hey, I mean, he didn't actually eliminate Ray, but he effectively eliminated Ray because he did all the damage that Mundo then just pinned Ray after.
Yeah.
So like 5.5 eliminations, I guess you could say 5 3/4 eliminations. Like with Ray, he did everything except the actual pinfall because he was not in the match anymore when that happened.
Right.
So I guess officially it was 5 eliminations, but we all know in our hearts it was really 6.
Exactly. So yeah, Matanza was dominant again. There were little things this match did that I loved, like when Pentagon came in and right before they cut to commercial, he hits a super kick. I smiled at that. I'm like, man, that's badass. He's not even wasting any time.
I mean, and he didn't just hit any super kick. He hit a super kick on Matanza, like completely going after the biggest, baddest dude in the yard. Yeah, that was great. So then PJ Black came out at 6, Mariposa at 7. And I thought Mariposa's little interaction here was interesting because Jeremiah, who we already know has beef with the Moth Tribe because of them going after Evilise, goes immediately after Mariposa, hits her with a crane driller. But then Matanza eliminates Jeremiah. He comes up from behind after Jeremiah hits the crane driller on Mariposa and hits Jeremiah with the low dip angled German suplex.
Yeah.
And then we get that weird, like almost like romantic moment between Matanza and Mariposa where Mariposa goes to like stroke his face. And Matanza has like this animalistic fight or flight response where he's like, oh God, she's going for my throat. I should grab her by the throat too. And he does. And then he choke slams her to hell. And then he pins her and she's eliminated.
You know, that's another thing too, since you mentioned that, I just want to say very quickly, because again, reviewing something for a second time, like Aztec Warfare, it's going to be a bit different. And I told you that there were certain things like coming out of Aztec Warfare that I added to my wrestling wish list. And I told you when we were playing Rocket League together last night, one of those things was a Marty the Moth Matanza feud. I would love if Mariposa got involved in that as kind of like this weird kind of romantic interest of Matanza of some kind. You know, because like I really did enjoy that interaction in those two. Mariposa needs something to do. I think that'd be a fascinating story to tell. And yeah, just seeing Marty and Matanza go at it, I thought was such a cool freaking visual in this match. It was actually one of my favorite parts of Aztec Warfare, and it only lasted like 5 seconds.
Really I mean, the thing with Mariposa, like Lucha Underground doesn't have the underutilization problem that WWE has, in the sense that like they still give everybody at least something to do. And even Mariposa, who hasn't had a lot to do, at least she's had stuff to do in general. Whereas like WWE, they just do nothing with a lot of people and it's kind of annoying. So Lucha Underground isn't as bad at WWE as far as underutilizing talents goes. But I would argue that the most underutilized talent in Lucha Underground probably is Mariposa.
She's so good, dude. Like,
well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, she's extremely talented, and Lucha, and the thing is, like, Marty is super duper talented as well, and he's an incredible character actor. But the problem with that is, like, Lucha Underground kind of allows him to overshadow Mariposa, where they really should be, in some senses, considered to be equals. Like, I think she should really be portrayed as the better fighter between the two of them, but she gets pinned way more often than he has since season 1.
Yeah, and it's funny because when we think about like the vignettes introducing her and stuff, it seemed like they were going to go that route originally. That she was like leading everything, you know, because she's the butterfly of the tribe. Like she's the strongest warrior. I think they even said that explicitly.
Yeah, they did. They literally, like in her one vignette, they said that the title of the Mariposa goes to the best fighter in the tribe. So that should be her. But obviously, I mean, hell, we even saw at some point in this season, which we will get to eventually, Marty attacked her and then she wrapped his ass up in his own damn cocoon. So she's still like, as far as kayfabe goes, she is still a badass, but they just don't really let that shine through in matches, unfortunately.
I would really like, again, just to bring it all full circle, like, because she did screw Marty over at Ultima Lucha Trace against Phoenix in the Mask versus Hair. Like, if they feud and Matanza somehow finds himself in that orbit and we just get everything started, because, like, yeah, these three working together, I think would make.
I mean, hell, if Cueto isn't even completely dead, but if he's just going to be gone for the first chunk of the season for season 4, it would be interesting if Matanza being out of his cage and being kind of let loose, if he did start kind of getting infatuated with Mariposa and they started, doing stuff together. That would be interesting. Just have them be like almost like a really creepy, weird, off the walls power couple. And Marty starts to get jealous and goes after Matanza to try and bring back, Mariposa back to the tribe where she belongs instead of hanging out with Matanza all the time.
Yeah, the motivation could be bringing Mariposa back, or it could just be, wait a minute. You wouldn't let me have what I wanted with Melissa, and you think I'm just going to stand here with my bald head and let you have something? Screw that. And it could just be more, rather than just saving Mariposa, more than just like torching everything to the ground. I just see a multitude of possibilities with these three, and just these very brief interactions on both ends just makes me want more, which I think is great. So shifting gears here, keeping it on Aztec Warfare. Obviously, I just want to get this out of the way now rather than like towards the end. I thought Johnny Mundo and Worldwide Underground were great in this. I mean, he was the Iron Man, came in at number 2, lasted all the way to the final 4. I love that he would sneak in and steal pins. I mean, one of the most notable ones, Pentagon Dark, because of the Black Lotus Triad. I'm going to pump the brakes very quickly so we can geek out once again over how fucking cool that was. Because seeing it again, it's still just as badass as when we first saw it. Don't you agree?
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
Black Lotus Triad, man, they came in. Oh my god! Now, what was what were their? Because I know like Io Shirai, Kairi, Hojo, but what were their like actual Lotus names? Do you remember?
Yeah, Mayu Iwatani was Yurei. Kairi was Doku. Io Shirai was Hitokiri.
Ah. Yeah, Hitokiri with that flipping pile driver, man. Fucking sick. And I love Black Lotus's facial expression where she's like, all right, we wrecked his shit. Let's get out. And then
that was great. I know, dude. That's like, for some reason, just her doing that, like, all right, let's Amscray motion is one of those moments that really sticks with you.
It really is. Yeah, it really. And then Mundo sneaking. And I love to, like, I'm sorry, but one of the reasons.
Mundo got so many eliminations, most of which were because of other people's work.
That's why he's such a great heel, though. Like, that's one of the reasons I adore this dude, is because, like, he's so proud of himself. Like, you get that. Like, I love when he gets a pin and he's like, yeah, I did it. Yes, I did it. It was all me. But it wasn't, though. It wasn't, though. But yeah, just pinning Pentagon was great. I love every time a new Worldwide Underground member would come out, they would do their little thing. Like before, it was just like the 2 hands, and then when Jag would come out, they could do like the trio little thing of unity, touch feet and just be like amazing like that. That was great. So yeah, they were cleaning house. Again, like, I love, too, that when Matanza eats all those finishers and maneuvers, because, I mean, Mundo did get the flying chuck on Matanza, and I think a super kick like before that when everybody was piling stuff on, and then Ray pins him and then Matanza destroys everything. Mundo not only flips off Cueto and laughs in his face, and Cueto can only be like, you're playing with fire, like just trying to regain his credibility, which we'll get to that a little bit more in a moment. But then he goes in, so now that Matanza's been taken care of, I'm going to pin Ray. 1, 2, 3 count. Yeah, I did it again. It was all me. I'm the best.
Like he was taunting Dario over Matanza getting eliminated, and then he uses Matanza's help to get Ray eliminated.
Let me explain this. Johnny Mundo is my son, and I mean like S-U-N, because
he's the light of your life?
Well, not just that, because like he's the ultimate douche, and that's why he's my son, because like I'm Icarus trying to fly close to the sun, but my wings are always going to melt and I'm always going to plummet to the earth, because no matter how great of a douche I am, I will never be that brilliant, ever. ever. Like, it's just so good. I'm going to mock you for your brother losing, but then I'm also going to reap the fruits of your brother's labor by getting another elimination off of a legend, a guy whose name literally translates to king. I am the real King Slayer. Suck it, Seth Rollins. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I loved his heel work in this. It's a shame that guys like Jack Evans and stuff didn't get more shinier, but I'll tell you what, though, Jack Evans is a selling machine. The way he sold that the kind of pop-up stunner being thrown up and then getting stunned down by the Mac, and then Sexy Star thinking she's hot shit. Oh, let me pile on this pin and help too. Yeah, nobody asked you. God damn. But that was great. I love too that I think it was Worldwide Underground that eliminated Ricky Mandel. That was great. Because I mean, who would? Yeah, because I think let me look at exactly who got the pin here. Because remember, Pentagon hit him with the package pile driver, but they didn't. Yeah, PJ
right,
Black
because yeah, he hit the package pile driver, but then the triad showed up. Oh yeah, PJ Black pinned Ricky Mandel.
Yeah, so I found that funny, and then who can forget Joey Ryan handcuffing himself to the oh, I'm smart. I'm gonna do it where everybody enters this time and not by the ring. Wait, what? And then who's the next person to come out but Mil Muertes? And I love, like, we've talked about before how, like, the whole El Rey channel is, like, that aesthetic. I think I've even said, or maybe you were said it, or maybe we both said it, that, like, I look at El Rey as everything that Spike TV wishes it was, and it just does it so goddamn well. And I love, too, how they're, like, playing with that horror of, like, Mil slowly making the descent down the steps, Joey Ryan like seeing, he's like, oh god, no. And then, Mil just takes care of business that way. I love too that when he does that with Joey Ryan, Matanza's taking care of somebody, which I forget who he took care of. It might have been Famous B, or it might have been somebody else, but like they just stare eye to eye with each other. I thought that contact was great. So yeah, I mean, this was just filled with all kinds of great moments. I mean, are there any moments that I'm forgetting that you really appreciated?
Dude, I mean, I don't know if you even mentioned this, but Marty entering and immediately going after Matanza was amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I told, I mean, that moment, again, put on my
I mean, you told me in conversation, not recording, that you wanted a Marty Matanza feud next season, and we discussed how we would get to that, but we never really discussed on a recording how, like, what sparked you wanting that and what sparked me being like, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and then like
Marty shows up and he was number 10. He came in at number 10. And he immediately goes after Matanza. They punch each other a bunch. Marty hits a big pump kick, knocks Matanza outside of the ring, and does an over-the-top dive onto Matanza. Now, granted, Matanza no-sold all of this and proceeded to beat the living shit out of Marty. But Marty getting some shine here on Matanza was pretty freaking awesome, if you ask me.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I wanted it, was that Marty even looked like something at all. He like stood up to Matanza, so that was great. Masquerita getting hit with Wrath of the Gods. I mean, that's a great visual.
The double spin, yes, the double spin. That was awesome.
Oh, and speaking of eliminations, I still, and this must have been like the third time we've watched this, because that, you and me and your mom together, like we all rewatch the episodes after they air. So this probably was the third time. But I still can't get over how fucking beautiful and devastating that flipping slam was that Matanza used to eliminate Drago.
Oh, that yeah, the moonsault. Yeah, the moonsault slam. I think.
Yeah, that moonsault slam.
Stryker called it a car bomb.
Well, that car bomb was amazing, because the only other person I've seen do that was Scott Steiner before all the roids, and even then, like, he still kind of spiked himself on his head, whereas Matanza, I feel like, executed this perfectly. Like, I'm like, holy shit, did I just see that? And so that was great. Speaking of Drago, before he got eliminated, he did eliminate Cobra Moon with the Dragon's Tail, keeping up that whole bit. So
I love too that Cobra Moon came out at number 19 and just kind of chilled at the commentary desk and taunted and kind of like play flirted with Stryker and Vampiro. And then when Drago came out, he immediately went after her, but she immediately got offense on him because he went after her, and like, even though he kind of initiated the confrontation, she ended up hitting him with a Rana off the freaking announce table to start things off.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude.
But then, yeah,
Absolutely.
he got the Dragon's Tail on her, eliminated her, and that's when Matanza came in and hit the moonsault slam on him, got rid of Drago, and then we had the whole crazy sequence where, you know, Mundo hit the Shining Wizard on Matanza, and then Mill hit the Reaper's Trident, and then Sexy Star hit the Reverse Lung Blower, and then Mac hit a running knee and a stunner on Matanza, and then Mundo came back in with a flying chuck on Matanza, and then Ray hit him with a 619, and then a springboard dropkick into the opposite rope, and then another 619 attempt, but then it got caught, and then he hit him with a Yoshi Tonic and eliminated Matanza. So that was that whole thing. Dario, you know, after the elimination, Dario was freaking out like, no, I make the rules around here. That didn't count. And yeah, so Matanza got eliminated, assaulted the shit out of Ray afterwards, hit him with the Wrath of the Gods, and then shoved Dario, which was really like the first sign that maybe Dario isn't completely in control of Matanza like he likes to believe he is. But then, of course, because he hit Ray with the Wrath of the Gods, it allowed Mundo to pick up the elimination on him. And then PJ Black and Jack Evans, who had both been eliminated, ended up returning to the ring to assist Mundo in his beatdown of Sexy Star.
Yep, all roads lead back to Sexy Star in this case. And they were doing just fine and really doing nothing illegal since it's no disqualification match when who decides to shove their nose in everything. And again,
Angelico.
Yep, which this was a great return. I'm telling you, you want to talk about things I'm most anticipating in season 4? It's this fucking feud. Because finally Angelico's healthy. You know, Mundo no longer has the belt. It should be an amazing, amazing program between these two. And you see moments like this, and it's exactly why. Because he does the dive, which I don't care how many times you see it. He does it with a gracefulness and a form. Like, it's one thing when you see Shane take 50 minutes to scale a cage and then a few seconds to drop an elbow. But with Angelico, because he does have that youth and that vitality, just to see him soar like that, I'll never get tired of it. It's great. And
yeah, you know, I absolutely love Angelico, and I love when he does these crazy death-defying stunts, but they do need to kind of tone it back because it's starting to lose that special factor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Should be, at this point, because they've already done it 3 times in 3 seasons, they should once a season, because we've got to remember he really wasn't around at all for season 2, so he didn't do it at all in season 2. He did it 2, actually, I mean, if you count the one that he did off the bleachers in season 1 in Aztec or in Ultima Lucha, he's done it 4 times over basically 2 seasons because he wasn't really in season 2 much at all. So yeah, and really, let's be fair, he wasn't in season 3 much either, but he obviously was around enough to do it this time. So it's gotten to the point that the saturation of these off the top of Cueto's office dives is just becoming too high. We need to have some like Angelico matches where he does actual wrestling for like, I don't know, a few months just to reestablish that he's capable of doing stuff other than diving off Cueto's office, then have him dive off Cueto's office again for the shock value.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything you just articulated, I completely agree with. Especially, we need to see Angelico. Like, that to me is the soundbite, because I want to see Angelico matches. I want to see him and Mundo, you know, push each other and have those amazing television matches where, like, every episode of Lucha Underground feels like a goddamn pay-per-view with everything, you know, that they throw at us. Like, I want to see this program. And when he hits all 3 guys, you know, Evans, Black, and Mundo, with that crossbody, and then who eliminates Mundo? Sexy Star.
You know what I was really disappointed by for this Aztec Warfare, though?
What's that?
No Taya.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I'm still waiting for my girl Taya to get some shine, like big time, like either a Gift of the Gods or a Trios or something. Like, give her something.
I'm telling you, man, like, I love that Lucha Underground does intergender, and I think that they do it in a tasteful way that really works for everyone involved, but they still find a way to undervalue a lot of their women and underutilize a lot of their talented women.
Yeah, it's a shame, because I feel like they're definitely on the right track, right? And that's always commendable, that they're doing the intergender matches. Hell, Sexy Star won this match, so they're even capable of, like,
well, yeah, and that's kind of the problem for me, is that they're and obviously this is subjective, so I'm not trying to say this as like a you know, built into the ground fact, but to me, they pushed the wrong women. Like, they pushed Sexy Star and Ivelisse, which I like Ivelisse fine, but they really should be giving more shine to women like Taya and Mariposa.
And you know what? Like, I agree with you because with Sexy, I don't even think she's going to be a part of this next season. And
Right.
Evilise, like, I like her too, and I hate to
I
be.
mean, talk about addition by subtraction as far as Sexy Star goes.
I know, right?
Just by not having her as an option to book anymore, they're like the writers' jobs just got maybe not necessarily easier, but they're gonna look better for it.
Right, right. And to me, dude, like I look at it, and like Evilise, I was getting ready to say, I like her, but at this point, I feel like with start and stop because of the injuries, you kind of gotta slow it down a little bit, almost like push a reset and just have her begin again. Um, Cobra Moon, I hope to see more. Like the three women that I would really build this around, which is kind of weird since they're all Rudos, Rudas, I should say.
But
So
yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with you on the Cobra Moon point because she's great, but I really like her more in this like manager valet role than in the
this
ring.
more like narrative role of being a queen and just having other people do like the in-ring stuff, I guess, on her
Yeah,
behalf. So she's more of a
yeah,
narrative piece, which is fine. Um, Mariposa, we already said at length, she's great. And Taya, to me, I feel like she's the best of both worlds. Like I feel like and I still say it, she still could be that Technico. Like that match she had with Cage, like her second night in the Temple, because the first night, of course, she helped Mundo win, and then her first match being against Cage. That showed me if she ever turned face, I think the crowd would just be in the palm of her hand. Like she could really
yeah.
be a driving force. So yeah, I'm really hoping that a lot of these women, because Cobra Moon they're doing good stuff with, but Mariposa and Taya especially, like I want to
Well,
see
yeah, and
them.
especially because like those are the two women that have less size disadvantage than the rest of the women in Lucha Underground, and I think that that's one of the big problems that a lot of people might have with intergender wrestling is, oh well, there's this 5'4", 120-pound girl. How am I supposed to believe that she's going to beat this 6'1", 265-pound man? Like, if there's less of a size difference, I think it helps the people that are really hesitant to buy into intergender. It helps them to suspend their disbelief more.
Right, right.
And Taya and Mariposa are both like 5'8", 140-ish, somewhere around there. You know, they're both on the bigger side. They're both basically Aerostar size.
Yeah,
And really, I think honestly, I think they both might actually be a little bit bigger than Aerostar. So to me, like that's like the baseline because Aerostar is like the smallest guy in the temple that you could believe becoming world champion. And if you can believe him becoming world champion, there's no reason not to believe that a female bigger than him could also become world champion.
exactly, exactly. You know what? I'm not even going to touch that. I think that was brilliantly articulated. I will say after Mundo's elimination, we come down to three: Sexy Star, the Mac, and Mil Muertes. Mil dispatches of Mac with the flatliner. And, then it comes down to Sexy and Mil. Credit to Mil. Does a great job in the bullying role, just manhandling Sexy and all that stuff. But then, Sexy does start to, rally back in part. I think she got like a DDT on a chair at one point. And then, of course, to fast forward a little bit, we know the final spot. Sexy's on the top rope. Mil's battling with her. Sexy pushes Mil off the top, through a table, does a double stomp, gets the 3 count. So Sexy last eliminating Mil to become Lucha Underground World Champion. It was crazy because I remember like way before Aztec Warfare when we knew that Sexy was the Gift of the Gods champion. There was one episode of TWitWoW where we did a long discussion of, well, how are they going to have Sexy become world champion? Like, is she even going to cash in successfully? Because, Matanza was still the champion at the time. And we are like, I just can't believe that Sexy can beat Matanza, especially after, again, Pentagon Dark had such a dominant performance in the second Ultima Lucha, and he still came up short. And I feel like all things considered, like with the credibility and issue and everything, I think Lucha Underground did a fine job of getting Sexy there because, again, it was more just, it seemed Mil was more focused on pulverizing Sexy than beating her. And that was his undoing because, she was able to have, the table there, then the double stomp, then to persevere. So I think if they really wanted to give Sexy the title, which they clearly did, this is the best way they could do it. And yeah, that was Aztec Warfare 3. Very fun matchup. Sexy Star, the new world champion, but we already know going into next week that Johnny Mundo, cashing in Gift of the Gods, he'll be facing Sexy Star for the championship. I've got nothing else to say about Aztec Warfare if you want to move right along into episode 12.
All right. Well, in that case, let's just get right on into it then. Episode number 12, we start things out with sort of the announcement that, yeah, tonight Sexy Star is going to defend the LU title against Johnny Mundo. And then we get right into our first match, which was just way too fun for its own good. Rabbit Tribe versus the Lucha Super Friends, Phoenix Drago and Aerostar. This was great. Paul London, just fantastic. I love everything about this match and this group, the Rabbit Tribe as a group.
Honestly, watching this again, this might be one of my favorite debuts that happened in Lucha Underground. Like, I just felt like everything about this was so great. Because if you remember, even before this, there was a very quick cinematic, like, teaser for the Rabbit Tribe again. And then we go into this match, and they get a Trios Championship match right out of the gate. I mean, this was just such a fun gimmick. I mean, the ring around the Rosie, which we've grown accustomed to. Still, one of my favorite spots in this thing is when Phoenix goes to make a tag, and he sees Salvador Paul, and they're like, "Oh, come on, you can do it." And then Phoenix realizes, like, "What the fuck?" Like, that's so good. Everything about this was so good, and honestly, like, it still makes me want that Reptile Tribe versus Rabbit Tribe. And even though the trios titles are no longer a part of it, one thing we say, I mean, we've been saying this about NXT lately, not every feud needs to be about a title. These two factions can still feud with each other, and I'd still love it, because especially if they would do shit like this.
I know that the Rabbit Tribe is meant to be just for rabbits, but I kind of feel like we can include all tiny rodent-like mammals in that group, right?
I mean, possibly. They seem like the inclusive bunch, so I don't think they'd have a problem with it.
Yeah, because, like, I just remember seeing this video on Discovery of, like, this little squirrel-looking thing going one-on-one with a venomous snake and coming out alive. And I'm just like, holy shit, I guess not all rodents get, victimized by reptiles all the time. And it made me feel hope that the Rabbit Tribe could actually beat the Reptile Tribe eventually.
Well, there you go. Wow, that's a great story. But yeah, like, I love too that I think it was Paul London that got super kicked, I want to say, by Phoenix, and the way he's just hanging over, like, overly selling it, but like in a way that I'm just like, oh man, these guys are absolutely just, like, out of their gourd, which is the point. Yeah, I mean, everything about this was great.
You know what I think my favorite spot in this match was, though?
What's that?
Paul London's trust fall, like the springboard trust fall that he did on everyone to the outside, was incredible to me. I love that spot. And that's a move that we've seen Aerostar do variations of, but I don't know if Aerostar's version of that move has ever looked as devastating as Paul London's version of it this match.
Yeah, his was fantastic. Again, like, I feel like everything about this debut was just magnificent. Like,
Magnifico.
It really was just everything that's so great about Lucha Underground, because
talk about instantly showing character too. Like, so often, like, even if you want to look back to season 1, and I've also kind of noticed a little trend where Lucha Underground kind of chooses to debut new talents on the episode after Aztec Warfare, which I find interesting because WWE is so all about debuting people in the Royal Rumble. And then obviously they wait until the episode after WrestleMania for debuts. But then that you would expect that to be like first episode of the season for Lucha Underground. But Lucha Underground says, no, we're going to do a little combination of those two things and put our own twist on it. And they debut people the show after Aztec Warfare, which we've already kind of established is like a better version of the Royal Rumble. So, if you look back to episode 1 or season 1, episode 10, which was the episode after the first Aztec Warfare, we got 4 debuts that night. We got Aerostar, Angelico, Argenis, and Cage all debuting in the same match.
Yeah, that's right. That's an excellent point. Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
But then what I also wanted to point out, though, was that even though that match was fun, the only person in that match that really felt like a standout that you could really be like, oh, well, that person is going to be a big deal after this was Cage. And since then, we've found out, like, Aerostar and Angelico are both freaking awesome in their own rights too, but we wouldn't have really necessarily known that after that first match. Whereas with this, I feel like the Rabbit Tribe nailed this debut.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, dude, you figure the Rabbit Tribe did in this debut, they did everything. And plus, I got to give credit to Lucha Underground because, again, I just want to reiterate, this match was for the Trios Championship. So already you're creating the perception, like, wow, this team is getting a shot at gold on their first night.
Man, the Rabbit Tribe must have given Dario some good shit to get that title shot immediately.
Some quality carrots, man. I'll tell you what. But yeah, just
Yeah, those.
great.
I wonder what those carrots were laced with.
Yeah, I know, right? Ultimately, though, the Lucha Super Friends do get the win. Phoenix did his little pinning combination. I know he's beating Mil Muertes with. Didn't he pin London with this, or was it Saltador? Because I don't think it was Mala Suerte. I thought it was
It
either
was Saltador. It was Saltador.
Saltador. Okay.
It was a good old jumper.
And then Cobra Moon after the match says, Drago, sooner or later you will bow before your queen. But, this match is keeping the focus on the Rabbit Tribe. Great effort by everybody involved. Again, my favorite debut, I think, in the temple. Love the gags. Love that these guys just cut loose. But I love also, particularly in this debut, and I don't know if they've always done it in every Rabbit Tribe match, which again, maybe is another reason why I love the debut so much. It was fun and lighthearted, but it also really did look like psychological warfare. Like, again, Phoenix looking so spaced, like, huh, what are you guys doing here? And, like, I love that. I love that these guys are more like, yeah, we have good in-ring stuff, but we also have a cerebral element. Like, we're going to freak you out. We're going to be trippy as shit, more or less, and we're going to make you question yourself every step of the way. I love that, and, like, that's the Rabbit Tribe I want to see more of, especially in a Reptile Tribe feud, because I feel like they are so antithetical to the Rabbit Tribe because they're serious. And I mean, Cobra Moon, she's that royalty and all that stuff. And these guys, I mean, they don't give a fuck about hierarchy or anything like that. They're just, doing whatever they want to do. They only answer
These
the
guys barely even exist in our plane of existence, John.
Exactly. Like, how many planes of existence are you on? Oh, one. You're only a small baby. Watch this. And it's like 8 levels of reality that these guys are on. So, yeah, I want to see these guys do a lot more. It's great seeing Paul London, be a part of something like this, because I feel like...
This reminds me of Morty when he first discovered True Level. Oh, God, reality is toxic. I want to die.
I want to go back. Reality is crooked. Everything is crooked. But yeah, like, I'm so happy for Paul London that he gets to do this, because, we were so happy for Kendrick when he got to have that amazing showing in the Cruiserweight Classic. But now I feel like he's kind of tempered off because 205 Live, I mean, they just sent out surveys recently. Why aren't you watching 205 Live? That says everything. Meanwhile, I feel like Paul London, his stock is only continuing to steadily rise, whereas I feel like Kendrick, unfortunately, it's been a steady decline through no fault of his own. Guy's still insanely talented. He's just not a part of a system that appreciates it, whereas London, like, you could even see how the third season ended. Masquerita is going to take the Rabbit Tribe to the White Rabbit. So these guys are still playing a focal part in the larger narrative. I think that's so cool for him. It's so cool, for the Rabbit Tribe. And these characters that get to come back, like Cisco, who is Mala Suerte. I think that's so cool for him. Which, by the way, speaking of bringing people back, I love the commentary bit in Aztec Warfare when Ricky Mandel came out, and then Vampiro's like, no, he's Trace because he came in at number 13. And so, I love that. I love that Lucha Underground does those little things too. And yeah, this is great.
I actually didn't even catch that, but it's funny because I was listening and I heard them say that and it just didn't click for me because I was like, oh yeah, that's funny. I say that was one of the members of the Disciples of Death. That's cool. And then like Stryker was like, oh yeah, he's Trace, and then Vampiro was just like, no, he's Trece. Like he basically just added more of a Spanish sounding accent to it than what Stryker was using. I don't know. Like I didn't really catch why he was like overemphasizing it, and I was like, oh shit, that's right. He was Trece in the Disciples of Death. Like that was him. That was the same dude.
Yeah, I like how you have that Vegeta moment in the future Trunks arc. Trunks? How odd, that's the same name as my son. Wait a minute. But no, man, I love that Lucha Underground. I don't mean this in like a demeaning term, but they really are so good at recycling. Like, okay, we're going to kill you off in this way, but then we're going to bring you back as this character. I love that. I think that's so smart because really, and what I love about it too, I think one, it saves money because we always talk about budget. And so rather than looking for another talent to fill this role, I think it gives your pre-existing talent pool a chance to really demonstrate their versatility. I don't know. I just really appreciate that. I think that's so cool.
They're going to kill Dario Cueto off only to bring back his twin brother, Mario Cueto.
I know. He's going to have like this really bad looking mustache. You look familiar. I don't know what you mean. But after this, we get a vignette between Sexy Star and the Mac. I don't give a fuck what these two losers have to say, precisely because they're losers. You know, Mac,
Wow.
I'm sorry for spewing truth. You know, I apologize. I apologize for my galaxy brain level right now. Why are you booing me? I'm right. I'm right. But,
You're welcome for that softball, by the way.
yeah, and you're welcome for the galaxy brain level shit I'm dropping on all of you plebes right now. But
Plebs, John, plebs.
but Matt comes in and he's like, man, I can't believe you're Lucha Underground champion. That belt should be mine. And I started to get a hard on because I'm thinking, oh man, Mac's seen the light. He's gonna stunt second, but he's like, nah, I'm just playing. Well, I wasn't, Mac. You made Blood Rush to my Swanson. Now apologize. And you know, they're bonding. It's like, oh, sexy, you're gonna be so great. Oh, thank you. And then I have to drag her for this. You know, I was actually nice to Sexy in my mark out of a lifetime, if you remember. But I have to drag her for this because this is the most inept, like, exercise of reason I've ever seen in Lucha Underground history. Because Mac rightly points out, we can't let Johnny Mundo get the Lucha Underground Championship. He's going to do anything he can to get it. So I'm going to be in your corner tonight. And if anything happens, I'll take them all down to Stunner Town. And then Sexy says, no. What? Like, no, I've got to show that I can do it on my own. I've got to show that it wasn't a fluke. First of all, way to project, Sexy. You are very insecure. So much for every woman is sexy, every woman is a star, which also, by the way, was the episode's title. But you're actually going to say no to help in a circumstance where that actually seems justified, given that the person that you're competing against has historically, without fail, at every opportunity, and keep in mind, I am the leader of the Mundo Choir saying this shit, has taken every opportunity for shortcuts or to win or just to get anything done. And a friend of his own accord comes to you and says, I'm going to help you out. And you say no, you deserve every terrible thing that happens to you. And I do not feel bad for you. I mean, now I'm going to leave it to somebody that's unbiased and can actually keep a level head. Have I said anything wrong here?
No.
Exactly. Thank you. How can you be that stupid? Like, dude, I got to get your opinion on this, because watching this again, because I'll be honest, like, and again, like, the only reason I'm going on and on about it is you remember in season 1, I feel like I was a pretty consistent defender of Sexy Star / supporter. Yep. But watching this again, like, I got angry because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy because it's Mundo, of course.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we kind of got on her case for this when we first watched it, too. Like,
right.
Mac wasn't trying to give you an unfair advantage. He was trying to prevent Mundo from having one.
Exactly. Thank you for spelling it out like that, by the way, because that's exactly what's going on here. He even says as much. It's like, we know that good-for-nothing Johnny Rudo is going to do anything, so if anybody gets involved, I'll stun them all. And she's like, no, as if, and that's crazy to me. And it would almost be a fascinating element of the Sexy Star character if we were doing, like, psychological portraits, because she's like, no, the greater the odds I overcome, the more legitimate I look as champion. Like, what kind of a masochistic attitude is that?
So I guess, I mean, she really is a wrestler because she's an expert in politics.
I know, right? Like, oh my God, this is just, it's unreal to me. Watching this again, I know it's supposed to be a harmless segment between friends, but the lack of logic here just numbs the brain. So I just really had to harp on this again. This is some bullshit. So yeah, after this, I mean, do you have anything you want to add to this, by the way, before I move on here?
No, we can move on, dude. I'm ready to get into our next match, as a matter of fact.
Dante Fox versus Killshot, and it's funny that I say that the Rabbit Tribe was one of my favorite debuts, which I stand by because it was so colorful and fun. But looking back on this, I mean, Dante Fox, this really wasn't a debut in terms of like cinematics or even matches because he did that big tag match, so I guess Rabbit Tribe still fits. But as far as debuts, as far as singles go, man, Dante... oh, so good. Dante Fox versus Killshot. But you know what? I talked so much in that preceding cinematic. I want you to talk about how you felt watching this match again, knowing the stuff that we'd get from these guys later. What'd you think about this?
Dude, first of all, I love that this was their first singles match in the Temple, and it still felt like it could have been like the 4th or 5th match in a series because of how well they know each other.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah,
I
this.
love that they were
So
like
good.
countering each other's signature moves, like how Killshot blocked the low main pain from the top rope, and how Dante was prepared for the kill stomp and ended up kicking out of it because of how like he might not have necessarily taken it before, but he knew it was coming and he could kind of like mentally prepare himself for it. He ended up kicking out of the kill stomp. I mean, he had the fox cat, or not the fox catcher, that's his move. He had the JML driver scouted out. He was able to reverse that. Like, these guys went at it in their first match. Like I said, like, it could have been their fifth match in a series, and it just seemed like they knew each other so well because they were just reversing each other's signature offense consistently. And really, like, the craziest spot, like an individual spot in this match to me, was when Killshot hit the Death Valley driver on Dante off the middle turnbuckle to the outside onto the ring apron.
Yeah, dude. God damn, man. Like, they threw everything at each other. And I'll tell you, a match is great when there's a certain sequence that still gets you to pop. And when Killshot hit the Killer Instinct double stomp on Dante, and Dante still kicked out, like, that got a pop for me again. And keep in mind, this is probably the third time we've watched this, but like, I guess I'm always conditioned, which is a compliment to Killshot as well. I'm always conditioned to kind of see that as a match ender. So when Killshot didn't win and Dante ended up pulling up the win, I'm like, holy fuck, this match was great.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about making somebody look like $1 million? They did so right by Dante here because he looked immediately like he could hang with anybody. Because this is a kill shot too. Like, it really was a perfect storm because this wasn't just any kill shot that Dante was facing. This is a kill shot that very recently came out on the winning end of a program with Marty the Moth that ended in a WMD match and actually had a somewhat competitive match against Matanza. So Killshot's been around.
I mean, I did kind of bring up in the match between Killshot and Matanza that I felt like it was too short and I wish it would have gone longer.
Yes.
But still, I mean, the WMD match, I wouldn't say Killshot was like main event level credible here, but he definitely had that like upper mid card credibility here, and Dante took him out easily. Maybe not easily, but he kicked out of a finisher and hit him with a finisher and got the 3 count. Like, what more?
Yeah, it was a great punctuation, amazing match between these two, and yeah, again, it was just another chapter in what was an amazing.
And the cool thing too is, like, earlier on in the match, he went for low main pain and Killshot countered it, and that I think was when he did the DVD onto the apron. But he did end up hitting low main pain, and he used it as a setup move for the Foxcatcher.
Yes, I love that. It's like he gets the low main pain and then he realizes the end's in sight. So then he gets the Foxcatcher and then he collects his winnings, gets the pinfall and just moves on to the next thing. Just, yeah, everything about this was so good and loved it. Just loved every bit of it.
Speaking of John loving things, up next we got Johnny Mundo barging into Dario Cueto's office, pissed about Angelico costing him Aztec Warfare 3. And he's effectively sicked his agent/lawyer on Cueto. He's faxed Cueto some kind of restraining order that Johnny Mundo has taken out on Angelico. And then, of course, Mundo says that he has a date with Destiny. And when he wins the title tonight, he expects Cueto to treat him with a little more respect and decency. And then Cueto's just like, oh, and if I don't, I suppose you're going to sick your lawyer/agent on me again. And Mundo's just like, yeah, I am. And then he starts walking away, and Cueto's just like, what a jerk. And then Mundo's just like, what a jerk. And then Cueto's just like, oh, what did you say? And Mundo's like, wait, what? Nothing, never mind. And then he walks out, and Cueto's like, what a prick.
Yeah, again, I love the interaction between these two. It'll never get old to me. Their relationship is probably one of my favorite in the temple, simply because of the antagonism / again coexistence that we see oscillate at times between the two. And I just love how effective Johnny Mundo is, an agent that's also a lawyer. Like that's just getting your shit together, Great stuff, great cinematic. I'm not going to dwell too much on it because we go from that cinematic to another cinematic, this being Dario and Black Lotus. And this is where we plant the seeds for probably, honestly, given that season 3 happened and then we had that big mid-season break, it's good to revisit the early treasures because what we ended up getting out of this cinematic good God, was it still, even knowing that Ultimate Lucha Trace is a thing and how much I adored it, if I'm honest, this gauntlet match, just as a whole, as a piece of television, was probably still one of the most brilliant hours of television I've seen in my life, and it all started here. So what did you think about this cinematic?
Well, I think that was actually episode 13. So I think we're going to be talking about that next week when we do.
I can't wait.
That's going to be a lot of fun for sure. But yeah, I mean, Black Lotus kind of demanding the match with Pentagon, and then Cueto being like, all right, well, I'm going to give you a gauntlet match with him, but it's not going to end if he beats one of your people, because he's going to have to face all 4 of you, win or lose, before this gauntlet match can end.
I love it too. Like, yeah, I love it.
Well, and the cool thing too is that if you think back, I don't think that the gauntlet match ever really had a definitive finish, because I know he beat Kairi and Mayu, and then he lost to Io, and then I think Black Lotus just kind of broke his arm, and there was no real like actual finish to it.
Right. God, it was so well done. I can't wait to see this again, especially Hitokiri, against Pentagon Dart. That was, oh my God. But yeah, this cinematic was great. It really sets the tone because Black Lotus getting right down to business, Dario taking advantage of it. This is another relationship that I really like. Violence. It's been a while since we've done that. I'm +5. But yeah, this is another relationship I love. You know, Dario and Black Lotus. I just find that Dario as a figure works so well off of just about everybody. It's great. And yeah, we get our gauntlet match. So we go from that to our main event, Sexy Star versus Johnny Mundo. Johnny Mundo cashing in, give it to the gods. And yeah, again, honestly not going to talk too much about this match because we gave it so much coverage when we first watched it, and I did like close to a half-hour mark-out video because it's the ultimate mark-out video. Johnny Mundo finally getting it done. You know, I love the bit of wrestling, you know, at first with Johnny Mundo trying to use his power game. Even got like a modified LaBelle lock in there, so we did like some grappling in there. Sexy's comeback.
Is there anything Johnny Mundo can't do?
Suck, for one.
I mean, I'm sure if he wanted to, he could do that too. He just chooses not to, because why would he want to?
Exactly. He chooses not to be an eyesore or a collective existence because he's like, you guys deal with enough mediocrity. Let me show you what brilliance looks like, to which I am forever grateful. But I love it, dude. I love that the guy, because I think Johnny Mundo's like 38 now, maybe even 39. Like, he is getting up there. And, like, he's still adapting his game. Like, he's even said, I love working as a heel because it allows me to slow down. I can
confirm, by the way, he's 38. He just turned 38 in October. I'm surprised you don't have his birth date memorized by heart.
I think it's, what, October 6th is his birthday?
I thought it was the 3rd. Let me look at it again. 3rd.
Yeah, 3rd was going to be my second guess. Yeah, his birthday is the one thing that I still have to get ingrained. But then again, I used to have the same problem within my own family, so I'm just a tragic figure all around. But yeah, he even said, like, in interviews, like, he loves working heel because he gets to slow down the style. It's not all about like all this high flying stuff, and it like gets more experimental because again, we see the ground and pound, you know, the submission game, and I love it. I just love seeing different sides of like his in-ring work. You know, obviously he's like very desperate. Sexy Star has some cool moments, you know, the double stomp she gets and the way she pins Mundo so his limbs are away from the ropes. I thought that was clever. So a good wrestling bit, but then when we get to the controversial bit, you know, Mundo takes a crutch away from a fan, tries using it on Sexy. You know, I believe Marty Elias is the official of the contest. He takes that away from Mundo. So that's a bit more of a scrap. But then Sexy Star goes to help the fan on the floor. Fan punches him with brass knucks. And everybody's like, oh my God, wait, what's going on? I thought Sexy was humming that fan. I thought that was a Sexy Star fan. And then I love, say what you will about Matt Stryker, but because I'm a prick, I love when you have a quote unquote good person and you can actually see the hope in them die. And that's exactly what Matt Stryker's voice is doing, because he's like, Johnny Mundo's going to do this. As if he was seeing a puppy crossing a street while a speeding 16-wheeler was also making its way. And like Stryker knows what's going to happen. He even makes like a parallel. It's like when you have that friend that has too much to drink and you know they're going to get in an accident, but there's nothing you can do to stop it. And that's how he correlates. It's like Johnny Mundo winning the title is that bad, which I'm glad it hurts you that much, Stryker. I hope it always hurts you that much. Mundo hits End of the World, gets the 3 count, and he's finally, after so many years in the wrestling business, can call himself a world champion on a televised promotion like Lucha Underground, the best promotion in my mind. And yeah, Taya takes off the mask. They celebrate. I'm laughing at Sexy. We're all laughing at Sexy because you're terrible at what you do. Suck less, get better, or get out of the way. I really don't care which. And yeah, that's how we end the episode. Sexy Star should learn not to be so good-hearted, and villainy always wins. You have anything you'd like to add?
I feel like you just like channeled your inner Billy Madison game show host. You were just like, what you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that would be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having heard it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yes, yes. Oh God.
So can we get into our main event?
Well, wait. What's our main event? Or was there a cinematic?
Oh no, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Yeah, Sexy Star versus Mundo was like the end of the show.
Yeah, and the end of this Lucha rewatch. So like,
yeah,
if you met
Mundo's the champion, and you had your amazing mark out, and yeah, man, like that. You talking about this whole situation with Sexy Star and her, of course, being the ultimate delivery woman. I kind of blanked out there. I kind of blacked out. I think I might have had like a mini stroke and just came back from. So yeah, so I guess that's it, right?
Yeah, now you can take us home, brother. This is Lucha Rewatch episodes 11 and 12. We'll see you guys next week.
Our longest episode of Lucha Rewatch this season, I believe.
Because it was all about the Mundo.
That's right. Yeah. That's right, yeah.
I want to pelvic thrust these episodes in the face. Just give it all that business.
Oh, you know what, John? I lied. This was our second longest episode of the season. Episode 1 was an hour 15.
Son of a bitch. All right, either way.
All the reasons Johnny Mundo is great to stretch this episode out, or should I just end it?
Oh, we already know. You can end it.
All right, guys. This has been a lot of fun. This has been Lucha Rewatch Season 3, Episode 6. Next week, we will be covering Lucha Underground Season 3, Episodes 13 and 14. And those episodes' titles are Breaker of Bones, where we will see the Black Lotus Triad Gauntlet match against Pentagon, and the Bulls of Boyle Heights, where we see the beginning of the Battle of the Bulls tournament. We get a little more insight into the reptile tribe, and Cortez Castro goes a little deeper undercover. That's going to be a lot of fun. So until then, be sure to remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel so that you know when we do stuff, when we go live, when we upload videos. And in order to really get notified, you can click the little bell icon next to the unsubscribe when you do subscribe, because you don't want to hit unsubscribe, because then you won't know shit about when we go live. That's a bad idea. You should subscribe and then hit the bell so that you get notified when we go live. And of course, if you have thoughts on this episode, let us know in a comment once it's fully processed. And of course, we have all kinds of playlists down in the description. We have Lucha Rewatch Seasons 1, 2, and 3 playlists. We have our Lucha Underground Season 3 live reactions and TWitWoW reviews playlists. And of course, remember to follow us both on Twitter, like the official TWitWoW Facebook page. If you are on Reddit, check out the TWitWoW subreddit. And of course, you've got 2 different ways that you can support the TWitWoW brand, support this channel, support John and myself. You can either buy merch at our Teespring store, and you've got options there. You've got t-shirts. There are a few different designs that have hoodies as potential options if you want to buy those. Or if you want to go on a little bit on the less expensive side, you can buy a mug, you can buy a sticker. You've got options, people. I'm also maybe thinking about putting out a new design for the new year when that comes up, but I'm going to kind of try and, you know, figure out what might be the best for that, and we'll see how that kind of works out. So the other option to support us is, of course, Patreon, and it's only $3 a month if you would like access to the TWitWoW Patreon Discord channel, and that also contributes to your own personal little TWitWoW bank account where you build up money over time, and you can use that then to request live reactions to wrestling shows of your choosing. Or if you want a little more insight, you can request a live reaction and a review to the same show, and that's only $5 per hour extra, so it's actually a really good deal. And then, of course, you can also help contribute to the community goal, where if we stay over $120, which we're hoping we will by the time this all gets processed, we will be live reacting to Progress every Tuesday of every month, that we keep our heads above that community goal water. So, guys, we will see you, I believe, tomorrow for Q&A. That should be a lot of fun. We're going to be starting that at 7 p.m. because I think we got like 80 questions or so this month. I know we have at least 70 now, and I'm pretty sure there are still a couple of people that are yet to submit that will be submitting. So we're probably going to have close to 80, if not over 80. We'll see. It should be very interesting. We're starting a little early because of that. So 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow evening. And then, of course, after that, we don't have any other plans unless we do hit the $120 community goal, in which case Tuesday will be our first ever Progress live reaction, and that will be to Chapter 1. Should be a lot of fun. That, I believe, will be at 3 p.m. And then back to Wednesday, we'll be doing Lucha Rewatch again, and that will also be our third of 4 weeks after TakeOver War Games of not reviewing NXT. And we will not be reviewing NXT tonight either. So next week, we've got, well, over the course of the next week, we've got Q&A tomorrow, potentially Progress next Tuesday, and then Lucha Rewatch episode 7 next Wednesday. Should be a lot of fun, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you enjoy all of that. Remember to stay tuned.